All right. Good evening, traders. Let's do a audio and visual check. Can you guys hear and see me okay? How's everybody doing? I'll let you guys go through that while I get a few things set up myself. Let's see. Let's go through this. Sounds good. Looks good. Loud and clear. It's always nice when it works and it sounds pretty good. But let's just get started. Good evening, everybody. Morning, wherever you're at around the world. This is Slow Markets, as you guys already know. I'm Coach Dakota, Coach DBA. There is our top step risk disclosure in the YouTube chat. This is for educational purposes only. We all know this is not a signals class. So let's jump to it. Good evening, Cami Capital. Gold. So this is a gold on the 1 hour chart. Immediately, the first thing I'm recognizing is there's consolidation. This is consolidation right at a key resistance level. This resistance can very well become support. So, longs on gold is looking very attractive to me if we do get a break above this consolidation. So that being said, it's coming to the top of the hour at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time where we see a spike in volatility. So let's jump down to a lower time frame and let's see if we can get one of our, slow markets gold trades going. So I'm looking for a breakout. I'm actually preferring the long side. So two things I'm thinking. I'm thinking maybe we could get in early. Maybe we could get into a long early. Immediately, I do see that there's a pivot right around 26.6, and we're just forming some resistance right here around 26.2, 26.3. So maybe we just put a buy stop. Like maybe we put a buy stop. That is an option, is putting a buy stop if we do get a break above this pivot. And I definitely would love to, of course, get into a long based off that higher time frame, which is an hourly chart. And it would be a great area for a stop loss, right, where I'm risking $2 in gold for a much, much greater reward. The other option is just to get in. Just get in right here, right now. It's going to be less probable. But we'd have a little bit smaller risk reward. I'm not sure. We still have a couple minutes until the open. Yeah, this is one of the things I always walk through in my head is the risk reward, and I'm thinking about probabilities, risk reward. I'm going to go ahead, and it looks like we might just be starting to break out. Let's see if I can get in at a bid. Let's get in. There we go. So I'm in one. Risk is $180, and we know this is the 1 hour consolidation. We very well could see a break, and if we see a break above this long consolidation that we've seen on the hourly chart, we could see a push back up into the 30s, maybe the mid 30s, maybe 24.33, or maybe to the top of this, these pivots around 24.29. I'm not sure. I am perfectly fine. Did we just get whipsawed in? I might just scale into this one. I might get into another contract. Let's go ahead and do that so I could show you guys what I'm referring to. Because on a 150K account, I'm perfectly fine risking like 375. And if I would get into another one, then that would be right around 360. 360 would be the risk on this. Well, it didn't give me that. Well, I didn't get into that second contract, and now we're starting to see that spike in volatility. It is 8 p.m. Central, so it's the opening of our slow markets class and the spike in volatility. So let's see where this trade takes us. First thing I am looking at is there is an option already to limit risk by moving our stop loss, or moving my stop loss. This is not a signals class, to this previous pivot. Like I said, I'm managing this on a smaller time frame. There's this pivot right here at 25 and a fourth. So that could be an option. And then trailing this thing, right, where we was talking about, I'm only risking $90 now. I could trail it and move my stop loss to 25.6, and I'm risking $60. If I was into 2 contracts, it would be, 120. I would love to get into 2 contracts to play for that break. So I'm not sure. Let's see how this plays out, and we could go through, and there's so many different options that come into play that I'm thinking about. Whether we could start to trail it, whether we wait, we could definitely consolidate. I love to have a stop loss down here because there's a lot of support and resistance that we've seen on the 1-hour chart. So both options are valid: to trail it, to keep my stop loss there. If I was into 2 contracts, maybe trailing it makes sense. If we do start to break out of the 24, this zone, maybe if we break above 24, 27.4, so 27.4, then there's definitely a case to be made to move the stop. Let's see how this trade plays out. We are starting to push up. Let's see, where did we open up at? So 27.4, this is the session high. So since we open up at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, this is the session high. Maybe if we break the session high, this could be an option, is to then start trailing the stop loss. Now remember, guys, this is the same strategy we've been trying, or at least I've been talking about for almost a month and a half now. It's still not complete because we only have 1 trade every single night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time on this gold. So we don't have a lot of sample size for this trade because it's only 1 trade per night, even if it does set up. And so this might take a much longer time than what a regular trading strategy typically would be, in my opinion, just because it's 1 trade. And we've been talking about this every single night. Anyway, let's, I think that's it. I was hoping for a little bit more volatility than that. I mean, we still could break. And if we do break, this thing could start to take off. But as we're waiting, let's go ahead and continue into class. So if you guys have questions, feel free to ask them. We have the amazing moderator team who's feeding me the questions, and the chat does go fast. And if I do not get to all of the questions, usually I'm pretty good, but sometimes I miss them, and I have the amazing moderators who can keep me in line and remind me of those. Some other news is D, our amazing D, is going to be doing London session. That is going to be fun. That's going to be amazing. Hopefully I could join her a few times. Yes, Landon, I will be talking about ES tonight. Thanks for the reminder. Remind me again if I've missed it. But let's see if we could break out here on gold. There we go. We're testing the high, and we got the new high. So now I'm okay with let's limit our risk. Let's see if we could get a nice clean breakout. Let's see if we can get momentum on this. Let's actually limit our risk a little bit more. Here we go. Don't you love this? Let's see if we could sustain this momentum, because now this is about where I'm a little bit nervous with whipsaws, where the market could just turn around and reverse. So let's see if we could limit our risk very much. Maybe we could just move it to break even. Like, that is also an option. Move it to break even, because if we turn and reverse all the way around, definitely don't want to be in this. What time for the London session? Check the YouTube. Let me double check. I could probably give it to you. 3:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. So 3:30 a.m. Central Standard Time is that London session with D. So maybe I'll be able to join her. 3:30 a.m. Central. That's going to screw up my sleep schedule, but who knows? We'll see. Maybe if I don't have to wake up for fast markets, then I could see myself joining D for a London session. I'm not 100% sure. But I mean, it's not exactly for everybody, right? We have so many traders international, and it's for them, right? It's for everybody who is happened to be either at work or is only able to trade at that time. That's what it's for.
So risk-free trade. Let's go ahead and start our regular rapid fire. And if gold moves, just let me know. Let me know in the chat. You guys always do if gold starts to move in one direction or the other. This is a risk-free trade. We'll see if we could have a continued momentum to this upside. My first target that I'm actually looking at is probably around 24.29. That would be my first target. The next one I would see as maybe, let's see, this pivot over here on the 15th is like 32s, like maybe 32, 33. Those are my two decent targets. I'm not going to have a take profit on this particular trade because I'm only in one contract. And when you're only in one contract, it's all in, all out. You don't have that luxury of scaling out or scaling in when you're only into one contract. So let's go ahead and you guys watch this trade for me while I go through the regular rapid fire. And let's do so. Let's do so with some NASDAQ. Let's start with the NASDAQ and we'll do what we always do. And that is we'll start on this higher time frame, which is the daily. And we'll talk about what we're seeing. Or at least what I'm seeing from a technical standpoint. We do have earnings, right? We have earnings this week. Get into a good habit of checking the news. Today is Monday night. We don't really have too much going on overnight. We have some Canadian CPI. So there's some Canadian CPI. We'll see some volatility. We have core retail sales month over month. For tonight going into tomorrow. So not too much. So we could expect not a lot of volatility unless there's some dramatic news, as we was talking about Sunday night. And so we have that. Now, from a daily standpoint, let's look at this because we're at an interesting position. And if I was to just choose a direction for the market, and let's just analyze this. This is a daily chart on the NASDAQ. We've been in a very strong bullish trend, I mean, since October, right? So if we zoom all the way out, and we've been in a very, very bullish trend where it's just been going up and to the right. And this past rally has been very steep. And if we start to zoom in and we could see, we ran into some resistance, right? We didn't quite get to the key 21,000. We got to just before 21,000 and we had a massive sell-off. We had a 3-bar reversal on the daily, and there's something that I've started to see. And as we start to zoom in, so we'll go to the hourly chart in a moment. I think you guys will start to see it as well. And it's something to just pay attention on. So whenever we break down like this, like we did, we had this very, very strong bearish day. And now we're starting to see a bullish move. So we rejected, the very next day. So we rejected on the 12th, right? Where if we can show this candlestick, because I think this is going to be very important this week. This consolidation zone, this zone right around the mid 600s. So 20,600s, 650 plus or minus 25. So this is going to be an interesting area right here. And I will go through this. So let's zoom into an hourly chart in just a moment. There could very well be a move back down to these lows. And, it's very reasonable. Maybe we're making a lower high. Like that is something to consider. Maybe we see something that we've seen earlier, just some type of consolidation, some type of, just some type of consolidation. I'm really wanting to see consolidation. Now, want in one hand and wish in the other, see which one fills up first, the PG rated version. So when we zoom into a 60-minute chart, so let's look at the 60-minute chart, and I'll kind of go over what I am referring to. Okay, so
Okay, before we talk about that, looks like gold's making a run. We'll go back to NASDAQ, but let's take a look at gold. Yeah, gold's just ripping. There we go. So first target hit. No, not quite. Looks like it's going to get hit. Oh, now it's hit. Now we just move the take profit, and maybe we just trail this, right? The second target is quite a ways up there. It's 24.33. If we do break out of this, we could start seeing a lot of momentum. Isn't gold beautiful when it works out like this? Now we just broke out. Let's see if we could gain momentum out of this break. Let's see if we get a solid break out of these 20s and into the 30s. So will we see these 30s? Maybe. Keep watching it for me, guys. We'll see. I see the P&L. Maybe that gives me a clue. But my next target would be 24.33. So I would dare say 33 as a take profit. We're continuing to hold above 29. So we're holding above these pivots. This is a key area for gold. Man, what a beautiful trade. This is one where you always wish you would have had more. You just should have built the position, right? Well, there you go, guys. So, like I said, this is not a signals class. You all click the buttons at your own risk. Keep an eye on gold for me. I'm going to go back to the NASDAQ, and we'll continue talking about that. So, anyway, back to the NASDAQ. So, here is an hourly chart. So, what was I saying? Yeah, we had the daily chart. We had this huge sell-off, and then we just had a retracement. And now something that I was watching, and something that is something to pay attention to, is this was resistance. So, 750 to maybe 790s. This was resistance. We had a nice rally up there, consolidated, and just sold off. And then when we sold off, we now rallied. We went up into this, almost to this zone. I mean, you could argue to say it's 700s. This is a consolidation. This is whatever. We sold off. And then we rallied all the way back up to this zone, touched the very top of it. And you could see that we touched the top of this 1 hour candle right before this move, this whatever it was. And then we sold immediately right back down to the lows of the low 500s. So there's also another pattern. I mean, you guys could probably recognize this, but immediately when I pulled this chart up, because, I love pattern recognition. And if we see this, right, we have a nice little, what do we want to say, a top, resistance, and then a nice little spike. And then we do the same thing. That happened here. And then we've seen a sell-off. And we could go back and through this. So are we going to be getting the same thing again? Maybe. This is definitely something to look at, to consider. And as I'm talking, look at this. There's 100 at the bid at, oh man, I don't like it. So there's 100 contracts at 628 3/4. That's interesting. We'll see how that plays out. But anyway, back to where I was. I don't know. I think there's room to the downside. Like I said, the consolidation, maybe we sell off and see the low 500s again. Maybe we go back down to the 300s. I would not be surprised to see more chop, more consolidation while the market waits for some major news event, waits for something to give it an excuse to rally. I just think that we've rallied so far on the 1 hour chart or the daily chart. The market could be a little bit exhausted. There's profit taking, there's hedging. There's a lot that goes on in the market. But like I was saying, Sunday, if you happen to catch slow markets on Sunday, we have to go what the market's giving us. And now the market
is not giving us these beautiful breakouts that it has in the past. And if we look at the past, we've had a lot of rallies. Other than this, right, back at the end of June, beginning of July, there was, a lot of consolidation. And here we are again. We could start to see that happen, where we could see a lot of consolidation. And that 100 lot just got taken out. So very much, I could see this as maybe a lower high. This is something that I'm going to be watching tonight and going into tomorrow, because I'm going to be on fast markets tomorrow with my trading buddy Rips. And yeah, this is something I'm going to be watching. Is this a higher or lower high, right? So maybe we could draw something like this, and we can start to be bearish. I'm not sure. It's going to be interesting to see where this plays out. If we see the market come down, tomorrow I'm going to be watching this during fast markets. This is going to be something I'm going to be talking about. Of course, it's going to depend what the London session does, what the overnight session does, to see. I would not be surprised if we start to sell off and start to see these lows of July 11th, July 12th being tested, because, yeah, this is just what I'm seeing on the technicals. I could be completely wrong. Just like last night. I mean, I wasn't wrong last night, right? Where last night we was kind of looking at something like this. So if you caught me Sunday, we were looking at this Sunday, right? We were saying, is this a higher low? And, sure enough, if you guys, happen to get in long and have this be that higher low, it worked out really well today. But now the market sentiment is a little bit different based off this technical analysis that I'm seeing, is because we failed to break out. We went back down to this low. And so technically it's going to be fair to say we're either going to consolidate. I'm just a little more on the bearish side, because I could see us coming back down to these lows. I'm not sure. We'll see how it plays out. It's just something I'm paying attention to from a technical side. We do have a lot more to the left that we can analyze. We're not just continuing to make all-time highs. And I think there definitely is something to be said. The fact that we rejected another, oh my gosh, we really rejected 300 points, right? That was a 300-point sell-off today. Yeah, so we had this huge sell-off yesterday at the end of the day. Or no, it wasn't yesterday. This was Friday. Friday we had this huge sell-off. Today we had a pretty decent sell-off. And so there's definitely something to be said that it's just not close your eyes and buy, or else we would have broken out and been much higher. There wouldn't be a reason for a 300-point sell-off today. Another 100 or 200 points yesterday, and then of course Thursday was a massive one. So there's a decent chance I wouldn't be surprised if we're back down to these 400s come tomorrow, but we will see. Now moving on, let's talk about crude oil. So crude oil, same thing. Where were we at? It's kind of the same analysis, right? Where we were looking at on the higher time frames. We didn't really do much today. Today was kind of just consolidation. Man, there wasn't really anything that happened. But if anything, it's looking a little heavy to me. If you joined me last night, it was kind of something similar I was just talking about with the NASDAQ, where do we see a lower high, and are we going to start seeing a move back down below, or at least towards $80 a barrel? We didn't really get anywhere today. Buyers didn't win. If anything, I would say it was a win for the bears, and we could definitely break down below this 81.50 to 81.80 zone and start to sell off. I definitely could see $80 a barrel being tested, 80.5, maybe $80 a barrel being tested this week, or at least maybe even tomorrow. You just never know. So I wouldn't be surprised. The market's looking pretty heavy. We did the analysis on the daily, if you guys remember. Let's jump to the daily, and we could briefly go over that one. Yeah, so this was the daily that I was referring to, where we could see some type of, sell off back down to some of these lows. I don't know if it could get all the way back down here. You never know. I wouldn't be surprised. But from a pure technical standpoint, we're just kind of, the range is getting tighter and tighter. This is a longer look. This is a bigger aspect because this is the daily. This is looking for, basically a year, right? This is January 2023. This is January 2024. So this is 1 year, and we're looking at it. So I'm not going to be surprised if, crude oil starts to sell off. But what I'm actually looking for is I would love to see a little bit of a sell-off, dip below $80 a barrel, and then a break. I would love to see, crude oil break above and break out of this pattern, but I think it would take a lot for crude oil to break out of it. Next, let's go ahead and let me get out of this. Let's take a look at gold again. Gold kind of just died off, right? Yeah, so let's take a look at gold. We didn't do a top-down analysis today, but yeah, I'm looking at gold as a bullish flag still, right? We had this huge rally. We are having a consolidation, and we're testing these highs. If we do break out in gold, we definitely could see, 2,600 as a beautiful target on gold. We're up here at the highs, and I would love to see gold break out. If we do, look at this big move. Gold tends to be very volatile if we break out, and with volatility comes opportunity, and it's going to be great for traders when we do get that. If we start to reverse, and if we start to sell off, then of course, back down to, the low 2300s would be the target. But gold's so bullish right now. It's been breaking. It's been going up. I just wouldn't be surprised if we can continue. And remember, we go back down to that 1 hour chart. And just as we were talking about, we've been bullish. We've had the sell-off. This sell-off is kind of playing its part, right? We sold off. We were consolidating. And we was playing for the break to the upside. We was playing for a break of this consolidation. And let's see if we could get some momentum out of it. It looks like this is also holding it down right around 30. So 2430 seems to be a very key support and resistance, or resistance that's holding the market down right now. This was back from, was it July 11th? So if we break out of 2430, we could continue. But so far, so good. We broke out of the consolidation, and hopefully we could continue this breakout. Yeah, interesting. I like this trade. This is maybe a trade now that I'm starting to look at it that I just don't get out of it really fast, where very well I could be okay with just like locking in profits, maybe putting it just below some of this resistance and holding this overnight. I very well could see myself holding this trade overnight. If I was able to get into a second contract, then yeah, why not, right? Why not close one out for plus $300, move my stop loss to in profit, and then just let the other contracts, see if we could continue to break and get above. And who knows how far we could go, right? Like look at that. Wow, look at that wick on here. We went all the way up to 2445, and if we're targeting 2600, and we're able to hold one contract for a break, I don't think we could get to 2600 tomorrow, but you never know. We could see a huge rally. Yeah, we can't hold trades overnight at Topstep, but it's just something to pay attention to. That being said, let's go ahead and look at the Nikkei, and then we'll take a look at ES. So here's the Nikkei. It's the Japanese market. The order book's very, very thin, as you guys can see. If we look at the 1 hour chart, I think this is the same thing I was talking about with gold, right? We had this beautiful bullish run up. We're having a nice pullback, And then on this pullback, this is consolidation. If we break out of this consolidation, then that could be an opportunity to have a rally up to these. And if we start to zoom in, maybe up to these resistance right here at 21,800. So I could see a breakout. That's something I'm looking at, maybe on a little bit longer term, obviously a continuation, but very similar to gold. This is the Nikkei, the Japanese market, and very similar to gold. We've been in a bullish trending market, and we've had this pullback. We have this consolidation. And if we get a breakout, then very much we want to be buyers, and it would make sense that we could continue up. The trend is your friend. We want to be buying these bigger and deeper pullbacks. It's offering, better risk rewards. It's just a matter of how we're getting into it. Maybe it's the same thing as gold. This is an hourly chart, but you do the same thing on the hourly chart as we did on the 1 minute chart. We want to get on the breakout. We can have our stop loss down here. There's so many ways to get into it. And as I'm doing that, let's talk about ES. And then I'm going to hold a poll for everybody here. Let me get a poll set up because we have some fun stuff going into next week. So give me just one moment and I'm going to get a poll set up because next week depends on you guys. Okay, here we go. Let's see if I could get it set up. Here is the poll next week. I think what I'm going to be doing is no reset right now. Come on, guys. Strategy. Let's see. Trying to think of how I could set this pull up. So what I'm looking for and what I'm looking to do is I want to spend a whole week talking about one thing. And what it will be is I'll do, and I want everybody here to know, and you guys are going to vote, and it really depends on what you guys decide. It really does. Guys and gals. So I want to spend a whole week talking about one item, one subject. And what it would look like is the first 30 minutes of class, I will do my regular rapid session that I just done and I'm just getting finished with. I'll do ES in just a moment. And while we're waiting on ES, let's just watch gold. We could watch gold move because that's where I have my trade on. So anyway, getting back to what I was saying, let me figure out a way to do this. But what I want to do is I want to have a weekly subject. So for example, if we want to say risk management and the entire week for slow markets, say next week, we hold for the last 30 minutes of class, I only talk about risk management. I talk about different styles of risk management. I talk about risk reward. I talk about scaling it, or these different ways, and the whole subject is risk management for the whole next week. So the first 30 minutes, I will do my regular rapid fire where I talk about and I'll analyze each of the markets. But then the next 30 minutes is focusing on that subject. And so I want to know, let's just say subject, let's go weekly subject focus. So I want to know your guys', it'd be, say 4 or 5 classes. And there's the poll, just yes or no. I'm really curious. Maybe it will get boring. Maybe we test it out. It really depends on you guys. But for example, I just finished up my rapid fire, and then the next 30 minutes, all I talk about is risk management. And I do that every single day next week. The next week, the week after that, we talk about my strategy. I've had a lot of requests saying, what's Dakota's strategy? Can Dakota create a video of how he trades and, what is his strategy? And I was just thinking, it's very hard for me to create a,
30-minute. Oh, wow. Here's gold. There's the nice break in gold. I'm going to go ahead and move my stop loss to right. Let's just say there. So it's really, really hard for me to just create a 30-minute or a 1-hour video of talking about my strategy, because it takes a lot of time to go over those details, and you guys are going to have a lot of questions. So I think it's only fair if I do something like this, and it looks like it's pretty unanimous. 90% is saying yes. Man, look at gold. So yeah, I've been thinking about that. I've been talking to, Danielle and some of my trading friends and Topstep team. How can I tell traders or show traders what my strategy is without just creating a 30-minute video? Because it's going to be very, very long, right? It's going to take up a whole week. And here we go on gold, worth of conversation, right? Where 30 minutes, times 4, or every single slow markets, it'll give me the opportunity to answer questions, because you guys are going to have a lot of questions regarding my strategy in terms of, oh, Dakota, well, what if you did this? Well, what if this happens? What if that happens? And I think it would be a lot more constructive if I do it live in front of you guys on those 30 minutes each night for an entire week. And then we could either clip it all together, clip it, get good, segments of that, and then put it into one good video that will then be saved, and everybody could review that, or a library or a playlist or something that you guys could go through, because the key is going to be your guys' questions, because I could explain it, right? And it's easy to explain it the way that my brain thinks and the way that I look and I think of the market. But the most important aspect of it is going to be the questions from you guys, because I can't really answer questions or realize that you guys have a question on something where, to me, it's perfectly normal. I'm used to it. Maybe it's more advanced, and then you guys are like, whoa, hold up. What's this? I'm like, well, don't you guys know what this is? And then nobody knows what that is, right? So that is what's going to be next week. So yeah, it looks like you guys voted. 90% is saying yes. So next week, that's what's going to be happening, guys. I'm going to be going over in depth of what my strategy is. So that is going to be very big. I've never really talked about it in depth. I've gave you guys, this is basically it. What you guys are seeing right now is basically how I trade. Like the way I analyzed NASDAQ, the way I analyzed these different markets, it sums up how I trade, but I've never really went step by step, subject by subject. I never really took questions on exactly, my trading. So we'll see how it goes. It's going to be 2.5 hours long, all next week after my gold trade and after the rapid fire, in terms of my analysis on the different markets. So I'm doing it as a treat for you guys. I'm doing it so that we have a video, and hopefully it's going to help, I don't know, at least some of you guys go through and get funded and be consistent. Now, huge disclaimer, just because I show you guys how I trade doesn't mean you guys are going to be able to trade it. Like, that's the reality. There's so many reasons and examples where people are trying to give other people their strategies, and it might work for them, but then they try and teach somebody else and they just cannot make it work for them. So even though I am finding success in a particular trading style and a strategy, will never guarantee that someone else will. Hopefully it gives you guys maybe a more in-depth idea of how I trade and my strategy and the way that I've went through that whole
combine and to become funded. So there's that. Gold's really not wanting to hold a breakout, it looks like. Let's take a look at the 1 minute. I'm just going to let it hit my stop loss. Yeah, I'm just going to let it hit my stop loss. Yeah, that's ugly. That sucks. But $270 locked in. If I would have had another contract, I would have loved to take profit and then have one trail. So if I was into 2 contracts, I would have closed one out at 29.4, and then I would have held one at like either break even or down here. So let's go ahead and, there we go, out of that. That was quite the move. That's unfortunate, but who knows? We'll see. We'll see where gold's at tomorrow or the next day. Quite a lot of volatility tonight. Still an amazing trade. And that is why I love getting into multiple contracts, where I could close one out and then lock in for the profit for the rest. So give me a second. I'm going to take a drink, and then let's get to some of your guys' questions. Let's go to the NASDAQ. Yeah, there's definitely a difference between live streams and recordings, right? The live, you guys get to ask questions. It's not very edited, and the recordings, you guys just the recordings, it's just edited and straight to the point. So there's benefits for both, and I want to be able to do both for everybody, doing a lot more clips on my slow markets class and providing a lot more, value for everybody. Okay. So yeah, this is live, Lido. What? Anyway, let's get to some of these questions. Let's get to some of these questions for everybody. Do you ever trade London session? Yes, I do trade the London session. It's been a while since I traded it because I've started to focus more on the New York session for fast markets, for the trading league, for TopstepTV. But I do trade the London session. Why not move stops to profit rather than break even? I struggle with this and would like your perspective. So you can move stops however you'd like. For example, this gold trade, right? So this gold trade, we got in around 24.26, and my original stop loss was 24.24, like somewhere down here. So that is always one of the hardest questions. All right, don't spam chat. So anyway, that is one of the hardest questions for a trader, right? Where, when do I move my stop loss? Do I move it to break even? Do I move it to here? Where do I move my stop loss? Or do I even move my stop loss? There's no right answer. And my answer is going to be, it depends, right? It really depends, because I got stopped out and my stop loss was at 28.5 or something, and I got stopped out. If my stop loss was at break even, I'd still be in this trade. And what if gold goes back and it rallies? If my stop loss is all the way down here, so there's no right answer. The only suggestion, or the only piece of true advice that I could give somebody who struggles with knowing when should they move their stops, if they should move their stops, and then where they should move their stops to, is decide on doing one of them. Do one of them, make that decision, and then do it consistently. The more consistent you can get, if this trade happens over and over and over again 100 times, then I will need to move my stop to the same place 100 out of 100 times. And after, I will review my statistics. I would analyze, what I could have done better, and only then will I be able to make that decision. Where if I would have moved my stop here, am I profitable? Do I have a positive expectancy? Or if I would have just, instead of moving it all the way up here, what if I would have moved my stop loss just to break even? Then out of the 100 trades, is it profitable? Is it have a profit expectancy? And then the very last one, what if I would have just had my stop loss where my original? Then what would happen, right? So what gets measured gets improved. There's no right answer. The only thing is whatever you're doing, do it consistently. Don't keep changing it back and forth, because then you'll never come to a conclusion which one's better for you. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. It's based off of how the technicals are playing. I would do that over and over again. It just sucks because sometimes when the market does this, it runs down and it stops me out and then it continues. It really sucks, because then if gold starts to rally again, which it looks like it might, then I really wish I wouldn't have moved my stop. But then if gold continued to sell off, then I'm happy that I moved my stop to there. So it really, really depends on that. So real quick, before I forget, let's talk about ES, and then I'll get to a couple more questions. So ES, it's relatively similar to the NASDAQ. However, ES is a lot more bullish, right? Because if you consider the NASDAQ, right? The NASDAQ, this pattern is like down here, but the ES, it looks like, it hit all-time highs. So the ES is a lot more bullish, and essentially it's a very similar pattern. Like, there's an argument to say maybe there's a triple top forming, and if we do sell off and break down, I'm not sure. It's a lot harder. I'm used to the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ, I've watched enough. We're kind of right in the middle of this. Yeah, maybe a sell-off back down to 680. I don't know. It's very hard to say right now. It's consolidation, chop. There is something to be said that if we do get a break to the upside, maybe a break above, 696 and a half. Very similar that I was talking last night is like, maybe if we break above this consolidation, we could have room to come back and test these highs and test all-time highs. There's something to that. I'm not really sure. I haven't. Yeah, that's a hard one. I don't like when markets are trading so close to all-time highs, because it's just, for me personally, it's just difficult. NASDAQ, we're not all the way up here, right? Because we don't have a triple top. We have a lot more structure over here to the left-hand side. So there's a ton of structure over here on the left that we could use for technical analysis. We could find these support and resistance over here on the left, and that's just much harder to do on that ES right now, just because we've been hitting all-time highs. So, and then just by the way I'm talking, I just sound so indecisive on ES compared to the NASDAQ, just because there's not too much structure on the left-hand side. Just what do? We just look for breakouts. Do we look for a breakout? I think 696 is going to be a key point for the ES, because where if we do break above 690 or 5696, then yeah, why would we not look for the market to break above 700 again, or at least test 700? So that could be a play. If we break above 696, then maybe we, at minimum look for 700 or a break above 700. From the downside, it's a lot harder to play because, I don't know. I don't know. I could see on the downside, we go back down and see 667 somewhere down and test these lows if we're looking to consolidate. So maybe tomorrow night, ES would be a little bit easier to read and understand. But for tonight, I think that is where I'm going to leave it. I'll try and talk about ES a little bit more. It's just pretty difficult to talk about when the markets are doing what they're doing. A few more questions, and we're already coming up to the end of class. So Jeff, do I copy trade? My answer is yes. Here at TopstepX, I have been copy trading. When I trade my live account, no, I do not copy trade my live account. When I trade these express funded accounts, yes, I will copy trade my express funded accounts. I'm testing it out. I'm always on the fence about copy trading. As of late, I've been kind of convinced from a lot of traders saying that, it's been a lot easier for them mentally to copy trade because they only have to look at one account's P&L rather than 5 accounts P&L. So mentally, I will say it makes sense, and I'm trying to understand it. I've been copy trading. I get it. I understand. I am against, and I would have a different opinion than saying it's diversifying risk. I will argue against that it's diversifying risk. All it is just doing the same thing and then just copy paste, right? Where if you have 5 accounts with, for this example, $4,500 max loss limit, you just do 4,500 times 5. That's your max loss limit. You could do the same thing on one account, right? 4,500 times 5. So you could also have one account with a max loss limit of 22,500, and then instead of just entering one contract at a time, you're entering 5 contracts at a time. So there's a few different ways to look at it, but I'm perfectly fine. I'm copy trading some XFAs. What do you got? Seeing how it goes, understanding, and I would say, yeah, it's a lot less stressful. It's a lot less stressful when you're only looking at one account. And I could see for new traders who wants to scale up, I will always say, if you're not consistent and if you're still learning how to trade, stick with one account. Stick with one account. Try and be consistent with one account and take payouts with one account. But then as you become consistent and as you want to scale up, then sure, I would say that copy trading might be best for you, because then you don't have to worry about increasing your contract size. You don't have to worry about watching the P&L, change in a much, multiplied, right? You could still look at one account, but yeah, there's a psychology aspect to it, I think, is where I'm going to say. Yeah, you could have a low risk, a medium risk, and a high risk account. Yeah, and that's another good example is you don't have to copy trade. You could have multiple accounts, and then you could trade them differently, and that's very beneficial. But then when you get to the live market here at Topstep, or you just have one live account. But in the XFAs, yeah, I agree. You could trade different ways. You could use them. You could be very aggressive with one. You could be have different strategies, and that's the beauty of having multiple accounts. Do you know if the Las Vegas event is happening? Jose, I do know that there will be a Topstep Trading League in Vegas. I do not know when, though. I know that Topstep has pushed it out a little bit for good reason, and probably a better reason. And it makes sense, right? Because focusing on getting the stuff that Topstep currently has going, like Topstep X, like 5 combines, like everything that Topstep has going on, focusing on getting that stuff and getting those things really, really good, and getting them the best of the best, being, at that gold standard. And then that will also trickle into the Topstep Trading League. That's still going on. There's still a lot being worked on. But I do not have the exact dates yet. Oscar, I've stopped trading Nikkei because I've been focusing on the NASDAQ. I've been focusing on the New York session. I talked about the Nikkei tonight. I haven't placed any trades for a little bit, and it's just because I've been working on gold and the NASDAQ. Adding on to losing trades. Oh, you do not add on to trades that you are losing if it breaks your rules. I will be going over that in my strategy. That is Okay, adding on to losing trades is not part of my strategy. Scaling into a trade is part of my strategy. And as I'm scaling in, yes, I could be in a bit of a drawdown. For example, on this gold trade, so let's talk about this gold trade. Oh, look, see, look, it just freaking wicked me out. See, I should have never moved my stop loss. Look at that. Screw gold. So, anyway, it went right down and stopped me out and right back up. So, there is a perfect example of where should you move your stop loss and should you move your stop loss. For this particular example, moving my stop loss to this didn't play out. I would have had more profit if I would have just left it at break even or back down here or somewhere below. So that's just one of those things. But anyway, let me explain adding to losing trades. Okay, so if we go to an hourly chart, and I want to make this very, very clear, and let's just say my strategy, and this is my strategy, is a very basic technical pattern. Is I want to buy gold or buy whatever market this is. This doesn't have to be gold. This could be NASDAQ. This could be any market. Very basic support and resistance. And I start to see the market consolidate, okay, like we were seeing. So the market's starting to consolidate, and I say, okay, this looks really good. I did this, and I talked about it at the very beginning of class, is I like this consolidation. This is very attractive to me. We're on a pullback. We're sitting at a nice key area, and I would like to get into a long position. Now, I would like to get in long anywhere in this zone. If I happen to get in long, say right here at 2427.3, and the market sells off, right? So the market starts to sell off after I get into a long, then I will say I am perfectly okay getting into 3 contracts. So maybe I get one at 24.27, maybe I get one at 26.5, and then maybe I buy one at the lows around 25, and then my stop loss I put somewhere down here, somewhere down around 24. So my 3 entries, I'm going to change the color because that just looks weird. So let's just say these are my 3 entries. I am now in 3 contracts, and so technically you are adding to a trade that's negative, right? Because if I got in at my first one and the market starts to sell off, then yeah, I would say that you're adding to a negative trade. But it's not a losing trade. A losing trade to me is when it's no longer valid, and this will become invalid when it hits my stop loss. So if the market was to, sell off and hit my stop loss, and then I keep adding, or I just delete my stop loss and then I add, then yes, that is horrible. You don't want to keep adding and adding and adding for no reason. You want to scale into a position. And I'm going to talk about this next week because this is a huge part of my strategy and my trading in terms of scaling in and scaling out. And a 3-bar reversal will be part of it, guys. 3-bar reversal is going to be part of that. That's one of them that I will be making a class on. There was a 3-bar reversal today, and I missed it. I wish I said it in the YouTube chat during the New York session. Look at this beautiful 3-bar reversal. So I'm going to show you guys this. This was a beautiful 3-bar reversal at a key area. So as I was saying, there is some resistance in these zones. There's this like you can see there's some resistance. And maybe you could say this is a big zone. I don't know. But if we look at the way the market was today, this is a 5-minute chart, and I will show you a 3-bar reversal. It's very straightforward, and I think you guys know. It happened twice, okay? So here's the first one. This happened on Friday. We had a beautiful rally. This is a 5-minute chart. And then we had a 3-bar reversal. This is a 3-bar reversal. I feel like I'm saying this every single night. And this is why I'm going to create a video. That's a 3-bar reversal. We have a trending market, and then we have a 3-bar reversal. Google it. We have, one candlestick that's in the direction of the trend. We have an indecisive or another candlestick. And then we have a third candlestick, hence the 3-bar reversal. And as soon as that crosses the previous candlestick's low, then technically you can consider that a 3-bar reversal. So very simple, very obvious. Screenshot it, clip it, do whatever. I'm going to create a video. That's all it is. The same thing happened again today. So during the New York session, well, let's jump to the New York session. We started trending up, and we got another 3-bar reversal. Here it is. Okay. You could see it. It's simple. It's easy. It's straightforward. 3-bar reversal. You would get triggered in as soon as we cross the previous candlestick's low. And look at that. It doesn't always work, but it is a clue, and it's stronger. It's a lot stronger, and it's more, I guess, probable when it happens near a support and resistance zone. So that could have been a beautiful trade. Unfortunately, I was not watching it. Most likely, I probably would have taken it, and it sucks to miss out on it. But yeah, look, it's simple, straightforward, 3-bar reversal at a key area. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to make a video. Hopefully that helps everybody in there. Screenshot it, clip it, do whatever you want. Google it, because you can see it on Google everywhere and all the time. So I'm going to leave it at that. Oh, there. I don't know what happened there. But anyway, yeah, stay tuned for next week, where it's going to be a more focused class on slow markets, where a whole week is going to be dedicated to a single subject. Yeah. You guys could hear me, right? I'm pretty sure you could hear me to my freaking mic. Yeah. Whole weeks dedicated to specific subjects voted on by you guys. So I think that's going to be important. Whatever you guys want, whatever you guys and girls want, you want to have me talk about a specific subject, then it's only fair for me to just focus my slow markets class onto that subject, teaching, answering questions. I'm still going to be doing my rapid fire. I'm still going to be talking about the markets, but it's going to be more, hopefully beneficial for you guys. For example, I will be talking about tick charts. Maybe we have a whole week where I only talk about how I use tick charts. Maybe we talk about tick charts. What is a tick chart? How do I use it? How can we use it? So those things are going to be very important, I think, in terms of getting very valuable content for everybody, and being able to have a playlist, being able to have recorded videos that traders can reference if they have questions. So I'm going to leave it there, guys, and I will see you bright and early tomorrow morning. So take care. Me and Rips and I will be crushing the market, I hope. Not I hope. We will. Say it into existence. Take care, everybody. Good night.